It was 1967 in Sydney, Australia, when a group of friends set out for a day trip. They were 3 adults and 1 child, chatting happily as they drove along Australia's picturesque coastline. Their route took them through the eastern suburb of Dover Heights, where the road winds along the cliff tops. On this particular day, visibility was poor due to an autumn fog that had rolled in from the sea, enveloping the coast and city in a blanket of white. As they motored along, the child in the back seat began acting up, having dropped something on the floor. In an attempt to calm the child, the driver reached into the footwell behind him, taking his eyes off the road for just a second. That second proved fatal. He misjudged his speed at an upcoming corner and veered to the other side of the road. He slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The car crashed through the safety barrier, sending the passengers screaming as it flew through the air for a few seconds before tumbling down the cliff. The car didn't topple into the sea immediately, but became caught on some rocks protruding from the cliff edge, leaving it in a terrifying vertical position. The sudden halt sent everyone flying forward in their seats. The front passenger hurtled through the windshield and fell 100 feet to the water below, hitting the ocean's hard surface and lying lifeless. Within moments, shadowy shapes converged on her, drawn by the loud splash and the scent of blood. Eyewitnesses reported seeing 14 sharks thrashing in a frenzied attack on the woman's body. If she hadn't died on impact, she was torn to shreds in seconds by the sharks below. The driver, witnessing the commotion in the water, saw the ocean bubble and boil as it turned red, the woman disappearing from sight. He cried out, trying to look behind him to check if the others were alive. But the seatbelt bit into his chest, preventing him from moving freely. Every slight movement caused the car to rock and sway, creaking and groaning under the strain. When he managed to glance over his shoulder, he saw the child and the other passenger were not moving. Desperately, he tried to wake them, but they didn't respond. People rushed to the cliff top, and emergency services were called. The driver had hit his head badly on the steering wheel. His vision was blurry, and his head was oozing blood. He could feel his heart pounding in his ears, gripped by terror as he prayed for a miracle. After 30 minutes clinging to the cliff's edge, the rocks finally gave way. The car and the driver were sent tumbling downwards, somersaulting down the cliff before crashing into the water below. The vehicle bobbed for a few minutes as water rushed in. Desperately, the driver fumbled with his seatbelt, but it wouldn't unclasp. The water rose higher, creeping over his feet and onto his lap, eventually reaching waist height.